All right, we got an interesting comparison test here. Kind of a little bit based off our friend Tom. He called these adventure touring bikes kind of sports adventure tours because some of them aren't meant to go off-road. So if they're sports adventure tours, maybe they're sort of sport tours that don't really go off-road, they just look adventure-y. And then we had the Interceptor sitting around waiting for a BMW F800 GT to compare it to. And it's a sport touring bike, so we're calling this maybe a sub 1100cc sport touring, sports adventure touring shootout. And so this test runs the gamut. We've got the Suzuki V Strom 1000 over there, the V Strom Adventure. That's kind of the most adventure touring off-roady, 19-inch front wheel, only one of the bunch. And then getting a little bit further to the street side, Kawasaki's new Versys 1000, which is about the same size as the V Strom, but it's got a 4-cylinder engine, and instead of one header pipe in right behind the front wheel ready to be dented, it's got 4 of them. And then, kind of like a Japanese version of Multistrada, we got an FJ-09 from Yamaha, which is based off the FZ-09, which we liked a lot, except a lot more comfortable. Hard bags as an extra option on this one. And then as the sport touring bike, Honda's Interceptor. It's been around for a while, completely revamped last year, and it's kind of the outlier in there if you can't tell the difference in heights. Tom, what do you think? How do these things compare, or do they compare?
Well, the Honda doesn't really quite compare, right? I mean, we kicked it in because we had it laying around the shop. But the funny thing we talked about off camera right before we started doing this, we were saying that this is the sport bike of the group, but yet this Yamaha is the sportiest bike of the group. It's the least amount of weight. This 3-cylinder engine is incredible. You know, we did our Top Gear roll-ons and the poor Honda came in dead last each time. This and a Suzuki were really close, right? Which is saying a lot because it's only about 847 cc's. So, you know, it's just a little bit bigger than the Honda, but almost the smallest bike here, but, you know, very comparable machine performance-wise. And then at the end of the spectrum down here with the Versys, you've got probably the most touring bike of the group. Comfortable seat, it's the heaviest. It's got a little bit of a raked out front end. It's, you know, very confidence inspiring, going around the corners. It doesn't want to flick back and forth kind of like the Yamaha here, but man, it will go through the corners, and that engine, woo! Yeah, that Ninja 1000 engine, man, that thing gets up in boogies.
When you called it a touring bike, I was going to say hot rod touring bike, because that thing's got the most power, and it was the roll-on contest winner, and if you wanted to feel your arms stretch, you get that thing up in the RPM, and that's the fastest bike of the bunch.
And it's the heaviest bike here too, but none of these bikes stood a chance, even the lightweight Yamaha stood a chance against that thing in any type of power contest.
Before the throttles hit the stop, it was already pulling ahead. What I've been having fun with today is the different characters of these engines. We've got a twin, a triple, and 2 different examples of a 4. And so you can really have a lot of fun with this. I think that we're really enjoying the FJ-09 just because it has the most eager engine. It feels very happy when you crank on the throttle, and by virtue of being light, it's also really responsive. Then you get to the V Strom, which it has that twin torque that we just love. And so going through the corners, when I was riding with the helicopter on my head, sometimes I was not shifting because I was too busy trying to keep my head from falling off, and I just, in 3rd gear, let it go down to about 1,000 RPM, right up out of the corner. It was great. And I don't know, what can you say about the Kawasaki? You get it spinning up a little, and the sucker just wants to go. And the Interceptor's been my personal bike for quite a while, and so I have a tremendous fondness for it. But it's been sort of an eye-opener here, how it compares to the other bikes. You know, I knew it was going to be the odd bike out just because it's not an adventure style bike. But what I didn't know is that it would, not that its comparative performance to the other bikes would feel so, I guess flaccid's a little harsh, but it's in the neighborhood.
Tame, maybe?
Tame, yeah.
Yeah, that was the big surprise to me too. 847 cc's and 782 cc's, I think, for this. And the Interceptor had such a great heritage of the V4 and the super bikes, and compared to the FJ, it did feel kind of tame, and it's also what, about 40 pounds heavier than the Yamaha too, which that 3-cylinder motor contributes to the lightweight, and the Interceptor feels a little bit outclassed in that respect.
Yes.
Well, the V4, which I love that engine configuration, you know, I mean, RSV, go Aprilia, but this thing with its, you know, VTEC, which when we were talking our little helmet-to-helmet communicators, I don't know how many times I said how much I disliked that technology, and I'm a techno guy, but yeah, the VTEC just didn't push any of the right buttons.
For you, I absolutely love the VTEC. I love it when I'm hard on the throttle and it crosses between 6,500 and 7,000, and it goes, whoa! You know, it may not be as fast as the other bikes, but it sure sounds great in the cockpit.
To give the Interceptor some props though, it is the sportiest bike. It has the most front end feel. If you had to actually go to a track day, this would be the easy choice, I think, for me anyway. It is a sporty bike, and so if you're into that kind of riding, always heading out to the canyons, this is a good choice. It's just, it doesn't have enough of sport to overcome the other bike's comfort, I think. How about you, John? What are you thinking about all these bikes?
Yeah. I think when you compare the Interceptor to the FJ, you have to just it's a real good example of how time marches on. The VFR is nice, but it got updated, but it still feels like a bike from the 90s a little bit in terms of its power output and the way it delivers power and the way it does everything just feels a little dated. Whereas the FJ, and we were just saying, it's pretty amazing that it's by far the least expensive bike here. But if you look at it, Tom was saying it kind of looks a little bit like a MV Agusta triple. It's got a bunch of really neat components in the way all the castings and the exhaust and everything fits together. It's got the controlled fill frame. It's a really nice looking motorcycle, and I think the same guy who did the suspension on the FZ-07 must have done this one because it works really good in the sportiest one here. And it's either supposed to be adventure, so maybe real sporty is not what you want for a long distance adventure bike, but for short distance touring, it's fantastic. And then I'd have to say if I was going to be lost at night in Death Valley again, like I was a couple weekends ago, this would be the bike I'd want there. It's a good adventure bike. It needs a few things, but this is the adventure model, so it's already got crash bars. And these all have great hand guards on them. Here, the TL1000 Twin is one of Suzuki's coolest motors ever to me, and they've got it so it makes maximum torque. I think 4,000 RPM, so you can really lug the thing down when you need to. And in tight corners like we're riding today, it really lunges out of them too. It'll almost keep up with the Kawasaki, I bet. It's real close.
There's something to be said for me. The wind protection on the Suzuki, fantastic. You know, it's got this adjustable windscreen that goes, you know, clicks up like that. This one, no matter if it was in a low or high position, is smacking me right in the helmet, incredibly loud. It wasn't the buffeting really that bothered me, it's just the noise. You know, I could stand up a little bit, get my head in the complete airflow, and it would drop 10 decibels. The Kawi also probably had the second best wind protection. Best seat on the Kawasaki is in terms of...
Kawasaki has a good seat.
The foam density and stuff. This one, like you're saying, for a longer distance tour, this is a little bit rock hard.
Maybe is going to make it for long distance touring. But probably if you're going to do long distance touring with your significant other, the Kawasaki is probably a great bet. Yeah. And the V Strom's close.
The V Strom's good. I love the seat. It's firm and yet supportive. I went an hour and a half on it and it was no problem whatsoever. I just wanted to say one more thing about the V Strom. That was the adventure version. We had asked for the regular version with the accessory saddlebags. They didn't have one, but they were able to get us the adventure one, which comes with a top box, which we didn't have on this shoot. But to get the comparable luggage capacity, it really needs a top box because the right side bag is really taken up by the muffler area. It's really a paltry amount compared to the left side bag.
Yes, which we should mention because of the under-engine exhaust on the Yamaha, and even the Kawi's got the regular kind of side muffler, but it doesn't detract from the bags of either of these two models, where the Honda's got these cutouts for where the passenger's legs fit into, and there is just not much room in either of those bags.
I would have to close by saying I think the last time I rode Lake Elizabeth Road, we were like on FZR 1000s and ZX11s and things. So it's good that it's like however many years it is later, as I'm aging, they make motorcycles like these. You can probably go just as good, but it's nice and comfortable. as opposed to being all hunched over like we were in the old days.
That's one of the great things about this whole segment is that you can really haul butt on these bikes, right?
Not that we would do that.
They're
Absolutely.
You don't have to be hunched over holding the front axle in your hands. You can go really fast on these things, and then when you've got to go on the freeway or like try to get it on the interstate to the next state over or something,
Yeah.
they're comfy. It's really the best of both worlds. So yeah, in terms of price though, how to get in? This is the cheapest by far, $10,500, and then with the options, it's about $11,500. And then the next most expensive is the Kawasaki Versys, which actually packs a lot of value. It comes with the bags and trash control and all the stuff you see on it, adjustable windscreen, and that is $12,800. And then next up is the Suzuki. The Adventure version is about $13,800, $13,500.
$13,999, I believe.
And then the crazy part is this smallest engine motorcycle here, as equipped with the bags, it's $15,500, I think, which for that kind of money, to me, it looks the most expensive. The dashboard looks most modern, but it's hard to see the value equation in it when you can get a lot of bike and a lot more bike in some respects for less money. All right, we still got some more miles to run up on these things. We're gonna have full report, dyno numbers, miles per gallon, everything on Motorcycle.com. So if you're watching on YouTube, get over to Motorcycle.com. That's where you deserve to be.